Adam Gilchrist, thanks for joining the new ball.
Okay, that's quite the intro, Tommy. How are you, mate?
Did you ever bowl with the new ball in any format of cricket, club or professional?
Oh, I reckon under 12, so I might have got a gig somewhere there. But how many games of cricket did you say I played?
1,142.
Geez, I thought my knees were feeling all right too until you said that. But anyway, good fun. Good to have had a crack in my time, but it's all about the current era. And as you mentioned, seriously heated contest coming up here at the Gabba. It's been brilliant. The first couple of games, fast moving, but very entertaining.
It's been great to watch. I know the series hasn't quite lived up to in terms of competitiveness game to game, but at 1-1, it's all set up beautifully. So what we do on the new ball, Gilly, is we set up the first over. So there's 6 big talking points ahead of each day's play. So ahead of the Brisbane test, I've got the 6 biggest talking points, the 6 first deliveries, we call them. And I guess I want to start off with the word momentum, which fluctuates more than ever, I think, in professional cricket at the moment. But do you believe Australia's momentum that they gained in Adelaide is real?
I do. I think you're spot on with regards to the current era or generation of cricketers. It seems whoever gets the first advantage just steamrolls the opposition in so many test matches around so many venues in different countries around the world. Teams, and maybe that's just the byproduct of T20 or a lot of short version cricket where it swings so quickly and it's hard to rein it in, and players find it challenging to slow the game down and just almost go into a holding pattern. But yeah, I think Australia's momentum is real. I think Pat Cummins is the finest example of that. I think he, whether he was underdone or not in the first test, he just didn't seem to quite inflict the damage on the opposition or the hold over the opposition, if you like, that he normally does. But he came back in such a strong fashion in Adelaide, and everything he did in his leadership role, his decision making, and more specifically his bowling was just brilliant. And I think that seems to see Australia come up here with an advantage.
And that test win in Adelaide as well happened in just 2.5 days. I mean, it started, at 2 p.m. on Friday. We couldn't even get to 6 p.m. on Sunday. The game moved along at a rapid rate, didn't it?
It really did. I mean, a 4-day test in Perth, or 3.5 days really, but and then it was express mode, and that happens. I mean, we saw it right from the very first ball, Mitchell Starc again, but that's just the nature of the beast. And I think the pink ball, whilst it seems to have settled down a fraction in the previous couple of years compared to the initial day-night test matches, it certainly danced around a little bit under the lights. Marnus and Nathan McSweeney did extremely well to limit the damage for Australia on day one, but India couldn't sort of contain it on the night of day two, but made for pretty good viewing.
It was great to watch. Yeah, it was unbelievable to be there. You just want it to sort of go 3 or 4 days to make it even better. But we move to the Gabba now where the red ball will be in play. You mentioned Marnus, you mentioned McSweeney. We're calling them McManus as a combo. How important was their performance in Adelaide? And do you think as an opener and a number 3, they can have a long-term combination in that Australian top order?
Yeah, they may well do. The foundation work that they laid, that allowed Travis Head to come out and do what he did in a man-of-match performance the next day. But without that, Australia, if they're 3, 4, 5 down that night, it's a different lens that we're looking through the whole contest through. So that was brilliant. I think they look like they complement each other well in that they look like hard workers, guys that are both prepared to graft and grind and feed off each other in that mindset. I think sometimes batting pairs, if they don't match up so well, if someone's free scoring and the other partner's trying to maintain that or keep up with that, it can lead to their downfall. So I think they work really well together. And in Test match cricket, I did think prior to this series that we may be in for a bit of a grinding Test series, but a series where batters will just lock in and have to really endure some tough new ball spells and then just build long, hard-fought innings, but as it's turned out, it's all moved pretty quickly. So these two guys could provide that foundation for Australia throughout this series, and who knows what goes long term.
We're talking to my interim new ball partner, Adam Gilchrist. Bharat's going to join us a little bit later on from Fox Cricket. Gilly doing a great job. So the first delivery was Australia's momentum. We spoke about McManus as the second delivery. Travis Head, I know this is not the first time it's been mentioned, but when you have David Hooks playing the way he used to, left-handed batter, South Australian, into Darren Lehmann, into Travis Head, what's in the water over in Adelaide? They all seem to play the same way, these best middle-order players, and they're just so damaging. And Head's record against India particularly is just quite incredible.
He's got a hold of him, hasn't he? He's got him by the scruff of the neck. They don't quite know what to do. I think short, square boundaries is what entertains and interests left-handers in Adelaide, mate. And I've been a victim of trying to get greedy on those boundaries a number of times myself. So obviously those three left-handers that you mentioned have been able to do it better than I could at that ground. The India Travis Head matchup's an interesting one. I really can't believe they haven't gone to a short pitch bowling philosophy straight away to Travis and stuck with it. He'll take it on. He could damage you for a little bit, but I saw New Zealand a few years ago carry it out with great effect and just make very clear and obvious the plans that you're looking to execute, and then throw the challenge back to the batter and say, okay, well, how are you going to wriggle out of this? And you might, take a sign and be aggressive, but it's going to come with a greater level of risk than possibly what he's having to contend with at the start of his innings in recent times. So that's probably a line of attack that India could take on, but at the moment he has got a stranglehold over him. I loved his approach. I really liked the way he attacked Ashwin. He didn't allow him into the game, to be honest. So that may well bring with it a change in plans up here at the Gabba. I wouldn't be surprised if Jadeja gets a start, but we'll wait and see.
It was only about 18 months ago that Travis Head was left out of a test match against India in India because of his perceived weakness against right-arm off-spin. So the way that he was able to attack Ashwin was something else. The anatomy of an ageing star, Gilly. I think you gave a great quote after you retired when you dropped that catch in Adelaide, and it was just along the lines of, well, you thought you were done. That was just the moment, and it's different for everyone. But what do you think it is realistic to expect from Smith, Khawaja, Kohli and Rohit Sharma from here on? 4 players who've been amazing, can still clearly perform at the top level on their day, but maybe aren't as consistent as they once were.
Yeah, I've just been reading some quotes from Usman saying he's keen to get through to next summer and the Ashes, which will make him about 39 or so. So he's obviously has aspirations to keep going. It's such an individual thing, Tommy. I remember not really buying into, through my playing days, not buying into, that line about you'll just know, like there'll be a moment where you know. I didn't know how it could suddenly just turn up, but it did for me. It really did. I had been pondering it a little bit for probably 12 to 18 months prior, when I was in a bit of a negative mindset and the game had me by the scruff of the neck a little bit, but it certainly came like a lightning bolt to me. I speculating completely on those guys that you mentioned, how I think it really comes back more to the selectors. I think that it's whether you feel like you've got players that might not necessarily be knocking the door down. That's the term we all hear, isn't it? Oh, no one's knocking the door down. But there might, Marnus wasn't knocking the door down when he got picked. But he's given already some exceptional years of service to the Australian cricket team and may well have many more good ones in front of him. That's the skill and the talent of selectors and selection panels, making bold statements, not leaving players withering on the vine. And I think we're probably perhaps been a little bit guilty of that with a couple of opening batters now looking like they're going to miss their chance, such as their age, and the opportunities didn't come. So that's the challenge of the selectors, to work out when these guys need to be told that time might be up. If those 4 players that you name keep playing long enough, they're going to offer some decent scores along the track. They don't lose all their skill and talent. just because they're ageing and fading. They'll still, but they just won't be quite as regular, it seems. History shows that. History shows that in all players towards the end of their career. So it's just, and it's a day and age where players don't want to give up. There's plenty of spoils on offer. There aren't many players that you've seen just walk away from the game very, very quickly, short, sharp, without a big announcement and a long farewell.
No, absolutely right. Usman Khawaja actually turns 38 in 5 days' time. So what would that be? That would be the 18th of December. He turns 38, and he's in the papers today saying that he would like to play into next year's Ashes. Very honest, Khawaja, isn't he? Saying he doesn't actually consider himself an opening batter, considers himself a 4 or a 5, but he's doing what's best for the team, which I quite enjoy that forthrightness.
I absolutely. He's a wonderful commentator on so many issues, be they cricket or social or outside of the game. He's a deep thinker, intelligent fella, and but yeah, a lot of people find that type of honesty a bit confronting, don't they? Hang on, that's not what's meant to be coming out of his mouth. He's meant to say, that's his dream job, to open the batting, but he didn't start there, and he accidentally fell in there through some COVID to Travis Head, I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Years ago. So he's not going to give that spot up. I don't think he's saying he doesn't want to do it. I think he's just saying that there's other spots that he wouldn't mind batting. So good on him.
That's exactly right. No, I agree with you completely. We should be promoting these guys who speak so honestly and openly. We're talking to Adam Gilchrist. We've got 2 deliveries remaining in this first over. Boland v Hazelwood. You've got to be a good team to leave out Scott Boland, don't you?
Yeah, but you're a decent team with Josh Hazelwood in it too. So he's proven that for a long time. Anyone's guess. Only those internally in the tent know what's going to happen there. But it seems Hazelwood will be right. Maybe the wheels have wobbled a little bit in the last couple of days, just looking at the comments around. But talking to him down in Adelaide, he was already bowling, even though he'd missed out on that game. I think he said if it was the last test of the summer, he probably would have pushed on through. So, I'd expect that he'll be available selection, and I think he'll play. But I think Hazelwood will play here, and then they'll know they've got Scotty lined up for the MCG. Should anyone need a little bit of a rotation out, not a bad replacement there.
No, absolutely. Build the man a statue, as Mark Howard said at the MCG a few years ago. The 6th delivery is more of a wide-ranging one for you. Your close friend and colleague at Fox, Michael Vaughan, has been strong on this. Not the only one over the journey, it must be said. 4-day test cricket. Do you like the idea that the ICC should mandate 4-day tests to open up some scheduling windows, or are you a traditionalist? Do you think that 5-day test matches should remain as they are?
Yeah, I remember this discussion when we were in the prime of our career, and we seemed to be steamrolling a number of teams, 3-day tests, 4-day tests regularly. And the suggestion came up, and I hated it. I thought, you've got to be kidding. That's, test cricket is 5 days. Just leave it alone and don't damage it and don't wrangle it. All of a sudden, I see the point. I see, as you grow up a bit and learn a few things about the bigger picture rather than just your own self-interest, there's a lot at stake for administrators, for cricketing governing bodies, for individual organisations, for test matches to be scheduled for 5 days, and they're done, as you say, before you hit the halfway point of that. Commercially, it's almost commercial suicide to keep planning and preparing in that manner, and trying to run a very, very hectic international schedule on the false promise and that you're going to ever get a day 5, let alone, maybe a day 4, let alone a day 5. So it might be worth the conversation, and certainly a thorough investigation and a bit of modelling as to how it may look for everyone, because it is a game, and Test cricket is a schedule that is under siege. So the popularity is there. That's been evident in the crowds we've had across the what have we had, 6.5 days of Test cricket. Couple of days sold out already at the Gabba, so can't wait for that. So there's interest there, the popularity's there. It's entertaining. I don't think Vaughan's saying it's not been good fun Test cricket to watch, but it might just be more practical, and for the health of the game long term, it might be worth visiting that suggestion.
Overnight, some news, your old teammate and an actual new ball bowler, Jason Gillespie, resigned as Pakistan coach. We tried to get him on this morning. Very polite, always dizzy. He just declined and just said he's not quite ready to talk yet. Pakistan cricket just has a way of having turmoil off the field, doesn't it? Dizzy was coaching the red ball team and now he's not.
Extraordinary, right? Quite extraordinary. But certainly, they're nothing if not consistent in their ability to just dismantle something that they've been trying to build. Pakistan, they do it in swift fashion too. So that's the one good thing. They don't linger. They don't let it drag out, like probably what we saw with our mate and former coach JL here in Australia. It lingered on and on and on, and the inevitable seemed to be coming. But over there, I think there was at one point, and no, I was going to say don't quote me, but of course it's going to get quoted. But I think one of the coaches found out on Instagram or something that they were in trouble. So
yeah, I think it was Gary Kirsten. I think was it Gary Kirsten?
Oh, was it? Yeah, well, yeah, it may well be that. But anyway, they don't fool around and they just do it. But I'm not surprised of the way that it can just implode a plan and a structure that they've got with Pakistan cricket. That was like they were like as opposition. One day you'd turn up and you'd thump them, and the next day you'd turn up and they'd be world-class players that shone and showed their skills and creamed you. So volatile, tough to plan against, and obviously volatile situations in the coaching assignment. So I feel for Dizzy. He's one of the great blokes, as you said.
He's absolutely, and we appreciate him getting back to us this morning at all, even if he declined to come on. Last one for you, Gilly. Did you catch the end of the Tasmania v South Australia Shield game the other day with Riley Meredith standing in the middle of the pitch? It just reminded me a little bit of Alan Donald and Lance Klusener.
There's a major communication breakdown there. That was crazy. There's some parts of the world where you'd see that and you go, "Oh, hang on, we need a steward's inquiry into this because what's happened?" But no, that not suggesting anything untoward's happened. That was just either a brain fade or, as I say, probably more likely a lack of communication. And if they both said, "Come on, let's just run no matter what. Who cares if we lose it?" But we might pressure an overthrow, and we might suddenly find our way to a tie or even a win. But the communication breakdown there is what's cost them, but presented well. The Redbacks on top of the table after 6 games.
Amazing.
Mate, maybe the foundation of Jason Gillespie's work is coming to fruition.
Well said, yes. The lineage is right. Hey, Gilly, really appreciate your time. Have you got a tip for us for the Brisbane Test? Do you think Australia can go 2-1 up?
I do. Yeah. I do, and a Marnus 100.
And a Marnus 100. We love that. He certainly laid the foundations in Adelaide. Look forward to seeing your work on Fox Cricket and KO across not just this Test, but the rest of the Australian summer. And look forward to catching up with you in Brisbane as well. Appreciate your time, Gilly.
See you up here, mate.